I'm Dan Galusha. Welcome to another edition of Shooting Plink. This is the Ruger 75th anniversary 1022 Sporter, which we've been having with us here recently in different ones. We're not really going to be talking about this gun per se. We're going to be talking about a scope, and this is a CV Life scope. Again, we're not talking about the CV Life scope. We're talking about a scope, any scope. As to what can happen is what just happened with me. Here recently we were shooting this, and the grouping was very, very good, but it was just a little high and a little off at 50 yards. And I figured, well, that could be because we actually sighted it at 25 yards, which still could be the case. But I thought, well, I'm going to do a video short, and we're going to shoot this thing at 50 yards after I resight it. So I resighted it, had it dead center, perfect. I'm picking off the knockovers and all that, no problem at all. And then I fired some rounds, and it was way off. I thought, I don't get this. Resighted it, got it back in place, bingo, down the middle, went to film, and it was way off the other direction. I thought, what is going on? Thought, start to blame the scope, but I don't think it is, because I'm going to take it back out. I'm going to have to take it back out now when I tell you what I'm going to be doing. This rifle was loose in a couple of different places, and this can happen to anybody, but right down here, you see that. How I found it too is I was going along like this, and that gun just feels like it was rattling. And it was a barrel, and I tightened it up, but then I still had that slightly. And I'll show you what else can happen. The rail. I don't know if you can see it or not. Here, I'll try to move it. You can probably see that rail move. You can see that the scope's moving back and forth even. See how it's doing? Okay, that rail's loose. The best thing, and this didn't come with the little putty stuff on it like they do for the screws, and if you got something like that, that's a lot better to have on there in order to screw that down in. I'm not talking about good Loctite, because if you get Loctite, it's going to be down there so you can't remove it. And with a 1022 especially, you want to be able to remove that, because there's a lot of times you don't want that unless you have the see-through sights like I use, like those Monstrum see-throughs. Then it's okay. You can have the scope up here and you can shoot right down through it, but I don't have those sort of mounts right now. In fact, these mounts came with the CV Life scope, and they seem like pretty good mounts. And so you tighten that all down, get it, and you should be able to stay on target then. But here's another thing that can happen. Not just loose here and loose there and whatnot, but the scope itself can get loose. We did this, Brandon Rogel and I. We were shooting his 350 Legend, getting it sighted in for his daughter. Well, we got it on. I mean, we had it dead center. We were laying right on top of one of those rounds, and then we fired it. It was way off. Thought, what is going on? Well, back here, and this is something that can happen too, this somehow evidently was not tight enough to take the recoil of a 350 Legend, and it probably went back a good inch. Well, we repositioned it, we fired again, and we were laying right on top of one of those rounds. So that's something to look at. You might have a problem like that, something just loose. So before you blame the scope and go out and spend another ton of money for a new scope, make sure that it's not something like that. There's several things that could be loose. The mounts could be loose from the rail could be loose, it could be loose up here so that it's sliding or it's turning, or the barrel could be loose. So anything like that, check it all out before you say, nope, that scope's going to junk, or you're going to get a hold of the company and tell them, hey, your scope's junk, man. No, you check it out first, everything else, and then call them up and say, hey, you know, you got a problem with this thing. But if it still does it, but 10 chances of 1 it won't. So until next time, shoot safe and have a great day of plinking.